The Life and Death of Hideo Kojima. As the release of Death Stranding 2 approaches, visionary game director Hideo Kojima continues to channel his boundary-breaking creativity into increasingly ambitious projects. Blockbuster games, a film with A24, artistic collaborations. Yet after a recent health scare, he's begun, for the first time, to confront the projects he may never get to finish. For the first 58 years of his life, Kojima rarely considered his mortality. Growing up in Japan during the 1960s, time felt infinite. Even after he turned 30 and created Metal Gear Solid, the 1998 PlayStation classic that redefined narrative in video games, he assumed the next 30 years would unfold just as slowly, but they flew by. Then in 2020, as COVID-19 isolated the world and Kojima neared 60, he fell gravely ill. "I thought I might not recover," he recalls. "I felt like I'd never make another game." It was the first time he'd confronted the idea of an ending, not just to life, but to creation. Games, certainly, but also films and maybe things he hadn't even imagined yet. "I had all these ideas," he says, "so I wrote them down and gave them to my assistant, like a will." He imagined himself as a ghost, forever unable to create. "I kind of understood why people commit suicide. It felt like the end of the world." Around the same period, Kojima began suffering from intense eye pain. He couldn't go outside, and worse, he couldn't watch films or TV. For someone who watches at least one movie daily, it was devastating. His vision deteriorated so badly, it interfered with the development of Death Stranding on the beach. In a rush to fix the problem, he underwent surgery that damaged the eye muscles responsible for focusing. At one point, while preparing to serve on the Venice Film Festival jury, he was rotating through 10 different pairs of glasses. "The doctor kept saying my brain would adjust," he says. "I wasn't convinced." When we first meet on a humid afternoon in April, Kojima greets me with a nervous handshake before quickly walking off, murmuring that he's worried he'll just repeat things he always says. But later that evening, in a pristine white room inside Kojima Productions, he opens up. The studio, housed in Tokyo's seismically isolated Shinagawa Season Terrace skyscraper, is part workspace, part shrine to cinematic futurism. One blindingly lit mirrored chamber holds only a life-sized armored spacesuit sculpture. Another room features a cast of Norman Reedus' head. "People think I just want to be famous," Kojima says. "But no, I want to raise the bar for gaming and for game creators." A massive wall showcases Polaroids and messages from collaborators and fans: Nicolas Cage, Guillermo del Toro, Ari Aster, Hunter Schafer, Mads Mikkelsen, Timothée Chalamet. "Awesome place," wrote Ex Machina director Alex Garland, "and weird." At 61, Kojima still looks a decade younger. His jet black hair, pink acronym X Nike Prestos, and a white close film t-shirt make him seem more like a stylish cinephile than a legendary game designer. Though he's physically recovered, the impact of his health crisis lingers. He sometimes imagines uploading his consciousness into AI or becoming a cyborg. "Maybe I'll find a vampire in Romania," he jokes. "They bite me. I become one." That brush with mortality has lit a fire under him. "I might cry after finishing Death Stranding 2, he says. "Or maybe I won't, because I already have the next project lined up." Next is OD, a psychological horror project developed in collaboration with Jordan Peele, the Get Out and Nope director. Then there's Physant, a Sony-backed espionage game described as a spiritual successor to Metal Gear. And a Death Stranding film from A24 set to be directed by A Quiet Place, Day One's Michael Sarnowski. Is this his creative bucket list? It is, he admits. Kojima once said he wanted to die watching movies. Now he says, "I want to die making something." GQ, you've mentioned your time is running out. How do you feel about finishing Death Stranding 2? Hideo Kojima. So. There are still so many things I want to change. I'd like 6 more months. Today, I might feel satisfied, but tomorrow I'll look at the same section and feel differently. I have to decide where to draw the line. Have you always worked like that? I shouldn't say this, but back then there was a master disc, and that was final. Now you can let things go and fix them later with a patch. It's been nearly 10 years since you left Konami. How do you reflect on your independence? These 10 years were the most important. I fear time more than anything, dying, developing dementia, forgetting things and not even realizing it. I went independent at 52, now I'm 61. Then came COVID. I was meant to shoot Death Stranding 2's opening scene with Léa Seydoux in spring 2020. The game might have released in 2023, but I couldn't scan actors or cast new ones. It sounds like your outlook has shifted since your illness. How's your mindset today? I feel anxious. I feel rushed. There's still so much I want and need to do. When I went independent, I thought I could do anything. But the reality is I can't. I want to make stranger, more experimental work. But if it flops, the studio goes under. I know my team. I know their families. That responsibility weighs on me. So the thing you love doing most is also the thing you have the least time for. Exactly. I'd feel more at ease if I could make a game in a year. Over 10 years, that's only 3 games. Every project forces a decision. What's worth doing? What's right? This game seems more emotional than your past work. Are you becoming more sentimental? After my father died, I asked myself what kind of man he really was. Then I lost my mother in 2017. She raised me. She wasn't into games, but she played Metal Gear Solid 3. Took her 6 months. She had to cheat. When she passed, I found myself wondering about the side of her I never knew. In Japan, when you're in a crisis, you might call out to your late father or grandfather, "Help me." In Mexico, it's similar. The dead remain close, like in Coco.